Hello everyone, this is Ninja, and this is episode 10 of the Blockenpox server, playing Feed the Beast Unhinged. Okay, today I'm going to show you some of the changes that have happened here, and I have some kind of big news. I upgraded my computer. I'll show you my frame rate is doing a little bit better. I'm not sure, it's slightly low at the moment. I got myself an i7 processor with it's a 4770K, and also upgraded the motherboard, of course, and that explains why my frame rate is a little bit low at the moment, because it's consistently quite a bit higher than it was before. It would be probably double this if the rain wasn't happening right now. But yeah, as you can see, the game is quite a bit smoother for me. Like I can be over here and the frame rate does not drop, at least below the recording frame rate anymore. Before it was getting down to maybe 10 or something when I was recording. If it wasn't raining, it would probably be up to about 50 or 60 right now. I'm using Optifine again. It seems to make a big difference with my new computer setup. It seems to actually improve my frame rate quite a bit. There's something to do with VSync. It actually slows my frame rate down when it gets to places where it could be extremely high, like in the you know, the dimensional doors. You can see it's 107 here. Let's see, even the fusion reactor, it's a little lower than it was before. I was getting up to 120 when I was recording a bit earlier. Or I recorded an episode probably about almost a week ago, just after I upgraded my computer, but what I didn't realize was it messed up the settings for my headset, and so I didn't record any audio for that episode, and I was kind of sitting on another episode that I had somewhat messed up, also due to the fact that I upgraded my computer. So sorry about the big gap in between episodes. I at least want to get one out a week, and now that should actually improve even more because I've moved my computer into a bedroom, and it's a little more soundproof, so I can record probably any day that I want to now. So I can get episodes out probably one every at least 3 days, I'd say. I'd like to get one out every 2 days, but that's cutting a little bit close because I still don't have a ton of time. I mean, I have a couple days to play every day, but it takes a little time to prepare for episodes because I don't want to just show you guys like the grind. Like setting up the fusion reactor here, wow, this took some serious time. And in just a couple hours every day, I don't want to like record an episode of just getting the materials together for stuff like this. So yeah, it's still not going to be every day for sure. Every other day, probably every 3 days. But as you can see, the fusion reactor is done. I've got all the components firing. I did want to show you guys the firing up of this thing, but since that recording went bad, yeah, I'm just gonna have to show you guys this thing running now. I'll explain the startup process and how I set this thing up. Okay, I'll start with the fusion reactor itself. I talked about last episode having, I think it was 4 of each of the injectors and extractors, and you really only need one extractor for each of the chemicals here, the tritium and deuterium. And let me shut down F3. Yeah, so you just need 2 injectors and 1 extractor, and that's really all you need for this reaction here. I'm not sure if adding more, like say if I added another pipe into more injectors here, if it would actually go faster. I mean, it's already crazy fast, so I think this is all that's needed here. Okay, so to start with, how this thing works is, alright, it all starts with water, and I have 11 aqueous accumulators to keep these industrial electrolyzers supplied with water, and these export buses are for empty cells, and this thing is for making hydrogen. And the hydrogen, okay, so this makes 4 hydrogen cells and 1 CO2 cell. The CO2 cells, they go over here. We want to just get those back into empty cells, but these things are kind of slow, so I added 14 auto crafting benches to keep those things going. I had 10, but it was starting to overflow, so 14 probably overkill, but it does the job. And I just have again, import export buses. Okay, so once we have hydrogen cells, 4 hydrogen makes 1 deuterium. So those are coming over here. I have 72 industrial centrifuges here. 60 of these are dedicated to deuterium, and 12 are dedicated to tritium. Really, this system is only making 12 tritium and 12 deuterium, because the rest of the deuterium actually goes up to, because it takes 4 deuterium to make 1 tritium, so most of this is actually going up here. 48 of the deuterium are coming up here every time, so that leaves 12 extra deuterium that are filling these up. So it kind of produces everything all at the same rate, because the amount of seconds that it takes to produce a tritium and deuterium are all the same. So yeah. And I have just 1 overclocker in each of these, and these use about 20 EU per tick. These, of course, no overclockers, and there's 32 of them. And these take 128. So with all of this stuff combined, including the fusion reactor, this thing burns about 9,000 what is it, 300 EU per tick, or somewhere around there. Let's get the meter out and actually measure it. At the moment it's burning, okay, 8,700, okay. So that's a little less than I thought, but these things will actually turn off when it gets above certain limits. I set it to when it has, over 2,000 tritium, it turns off, and for the bottom one I have 2,000 tritium, or 2,000 deuterium, 2,000 tritium. And this emitter, it just makes sure that if it's over 64 empty cells, that this thing will start running again. That makes sure that it just kind of saves some power. It turns off all the export buses on top here with the empty cells. That way it's just saving a little bit of power when it's not running. That's really all that's for. You could probably just have this running all the time. Wouldn't matter. For this system, you gotta figure every single machine here needs an entire stack of empty cells to be running constantly and reliably. So quite a bit of cells needed for this. Let me look up the numbers real quick. Okay, so empty cells needed for this thing, 6,656 is what this needs at a minimum. That's if everything is running with a full stack all at once. One other level emitter I have here is for the deuterium, because you want these up here to always have an available supply of deuterium to make the tritium. Because if these finish all at once, it needs 48 deuterium to refill all these cells, because it takes 4 each, and there's 12 of them, so yeah, 48. So I have this set to 50, so it just has a good supply of them at all times, just in case. And once it gets over 50, yeah, that just puts the excess in here. And since we have a huge supply at the moment, yeah, this is just always full. And this one always just getting the tritium. Okay, to kick-start this thing, I used AESUs. I used 3 of them, and I was powering them up with a Dragon Egg Siphon, which produces, like, I think it's 1700 EU per tick or something like that. I know it doesn't say that, but when you measure it with the EU reader, yeah, it's producing quite a bit. So I filled those up, and then I had 6 industrial centrifuges doing hydrogen, making deuterium, and then I had just 1 at first making tritium, and then I started another one up making tritium, just to have a little amount so you can get this thing started. And I think I had just 3 electrolyzers making the hydrogen at first, and I just kind of left that overnight so I had a good amount to get this started. But really, you can start with a really small amount. And I had these set up here, so when it turns on, you need actually 4000 EU per tick just to run this thing. So you want to hook this thing up with more power than it needs with plasma generators. And I have a transformer for each of these, because these produce 2048 EU per tick, which will fry these cables. And these all have 2 transformer upgrades, or well, this one has 1. So all these, every machine here can take 512, and I didn't want to use the HV cables on this because they're a little bit more lossy than the fiberglass, or the glass fiber cables. So yeah, I just always like to transform down to high voltage. So yeah, once this thing starts, it's already producing enough energy to run itself for forever. So so I took out the AESUs and the Dragon Egg Siphon, and I turned them into an IDSU. But I'll show you that, guys, a little bit later. And here I've got a switch so I can shut this thing off if it gets full, because I'm not using plasma nearly as fast as I'm generating it. Like I've actually turned this off and left it off for 2 days. That wasn't intentional. I couldn't sign back in. I was having some trouble with my computer because of some of the hardware changes. Like I just transplanted everything. I didn't reinstall Windows or anything. I just plugged it into the new motherboard, and it was working okay. But yeah, there's just been a few problems here and there that I'm running into. So yeah, I can shut this off anytime, and I have this switch here just in case I don't have enough power. Like say if I accidentally left it off for like a week or something, you know, my plasma was gone, or I just somehow used up all my plasma, there would be no power to run this stuff, so you'd have to shut this off and kind of build up enough power. I could probably use an IDSU to kickstart this thing again. So yeah, when I kickstarted it, I just had these small amounts running, but you know, as soon as you turn it on and have a little bit of plasma coming out, you just go turn these things on by adding, you know, the empty cell to all these buses. So that's what I did. I went through, added all the empty cells to this, and then once I had a little bit of hydrogen coming in, you start doing the deuterium. And then, you know, once you get all those full, just go up here and do all the put all the deuterium cells into the tritium production up here. And that's pretty much it. I mean, once you have a little bit of plasma and you've just kickstarted it, you're going to be burning it at a pretty good rate. Like, you're not going to have an excess. So you want to actually shut the fusion reactor back down and generate, you know, pretty much try and fill all of these up before you turn it back on again, because if you don't, there's going to be just about half of these running all at once, and it's going to take a long time to actually get up to full speed on the production. So you kind of have to really watch it at first. So yeah, that's what I did, and it really goes through the plasma really slow. So I'd say if you even had like 5% of a maximum size steel tank, if you had 5%, you could probably run this whole thing for like a day or 3. I don't know. You could run it for quite a long time, because you figure just one plasma cell. Here, I'll show you actually. That's yeah, you see how much energy it has there? It's 8,192 K. So in other words, 8 million and 192,000 U for every plasma cell that this thing makes. So that is a ton of energy. So you can think of this as really like a giant like energy storage. And I'm gonna share this stuff too. Like once this gets up to the top, it's going to be sharing the rest of everything with all the other players. I'm gonna make this public. You see plasma out public, and I have another empty tank in my base for the public storage. And for some reason my sound volume is really low. Okay, we're back, and sounds are working again, pretty sure. Let's see. Yep, okay. I just, there's not really too much sounds going on, so it's no big deal, but I don't know, I always like things working how they should be. Okay, so I also added some, it's kind of like support beams for this. I'm still going to work on this a little bit, like I have to make iron bars to finish this thing up, and these are actually dug into the wall a little bit, and if I get real close to it, you can kind of see how it's, you can see the fabric of reality actually covers it up a little bit when you get too far over. So I'm probably going to dig these walls out a little bit. And I think it looks kind of cool. Yeah, at least it looks like it's holding itself up now. Like I didn't really want to make legs for this because I want to be able to move around freely underneath it. So I made it so it looked like it was hanging from something. I originally just had it hanging from the ceiling up here, but the ceiling looks like it doesn't even exist. So I made some. So I just came up with this support structure here, and I added a door that goes straight back to right next to where my applied energistics is at home, because I was coming back and forth here quite a bit, getting supplies and stuff. So it was nice having just a door that I could use instead of using the book every time. And it goes right here, and there's not a door on the other side, and you can do that by using a what's it called? A stable rift signature. And you can have multiple doors in your world that come to a single point, and you can have it so there's not a door on that side. You could just break the door and it'll stay gone, and there's no rift on this side, which is kind of weird. I think it might be a bug, but it works. This isn't working sometimes. Sometimes if I go in a dimensional door and then come back, it'll be working sometimes, but it's still not at the moment. That's just a weird bug. I don't know. I can handle it as long as the information isn't too important. This is actually measuring just my IDSU now, and I have 4 plasma generators powering this thing. Since these produce about 2,000 a piece, or 2,048, and this can take 8,192, which is exactly, you know, 4 times what the plasma generator can produce. so it's keeping this full as fast as it can be filled. And I have these coming out to, this is a superconductor wire. And you actually only need one of these, and then you can put, you can surround it with HV transformers, I think. I haven't tried it yet, but to conserve this cable, I'm gonna actually try that. I'm gonna just use one of these with, for the HV transformers attached to it. And I have the rest of the plasma generators going straight out to my system now, and you don't really need to have the power measured for this, because as long as you have plasma, you're gonna have enough energy. And I can produce it's somewhere around 64,000 EUs. I mean, minus what the fusion reactor takes itself, and minus another 8,000 that I have dedicated to a matter fabricator. And I'm using my thorium dust in this, and it's been running for about 4 days now, and it still has a full supply of thorium dust. So I think it goes through this stuff really slow, because I don't really have another use for this stuff anyway. So it's working out a lot better than scrap, because I'm using scrap up as fast as I can make it now. So yeah, now I've got plenty of energy and plenty of UU matter. And once I've produced enough of this stuff, I'll have public helium plasma for everybody else to use if they want. All they have to do is make a liquid tesseract and a plasma generator, and they've got 2048 from each of those. And I don't know, I don't think I'm gonna really put a limit on to what people can use. It's just I'd just probably ask that maybe just out of courtesy, don't have it running all the time. I don't know, there's not too many players playing right now. It's really only me and Mountain Sinai. It's understandable, you know, people get burned out on the game sometimes. And also Koopa Freak was playing, but I haven't seen him on in a while either, so it's pretty much just me here. But I don't know, I'm happy playing by myself. Even, you know, I don't really always need other people playing. It's always better. I kind of, you know, I really miss them, but at the same time, I'm still going to be playing, even though nobody else is. I wonder if it's still raining out. It's kind of low on the frame rate here. It's down to 27, and let's see what's going on here. No, I think it's just the recording. Alright, I think I'm going to call that into this episode. So now we can get down to just not really worrying about resources at all. Like energy is as abundant, and you know, I can finish details on my home here, like, you know, this hallway is still all stone and stuff. So I can focus on a little bit of building and doing some projects and stuff like that. And alright, that's it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.